Hello, this is Bernie. Who are you? I'm Bernie May of Connections Consulting. And you're going to tell me who you are when I talk to you because I'm telling you who I are right now, who I am. And we're training leaders. And, you know, one of the things about this market we're in, it's like bench pressing, deadlift, 700 pounds of weight in the gym when you've only ever been used to lifting about 190. And that's not good, is it? We're all having a little trouble here, aren't we? So Bernie May at Connections Consulting, what we are is we are experts in training. We are in our field, we're standing in our field as experts in training of ancient business principles that work well in this kind of market, in this kind of environment, in the toughest watershed market? No, shed. This is like getting taken out back to the shed for a beating. We don't want this. Nobody wants this. I don't know one son under the sun or daughter that wants this. And, we do 5 main things, okay? And we're staying with this cause as we go through the COVID times and and welcome to this meeting, by the way. I never asked you that right off the hop or said that to you, but I'm glad you're here. And, in spite of decisions to re-streamline things to come through the hard market environment, we're sticking with 3 main things in training: leadership development and staff development of both, development of sales management principles, how to build your business on that ethic, and then thirdly, customer service training. Our purpose training will be it's not really going to go by the wayside. It's here in the background. We won't do much of that. I think most people have their purpose sure and figured out what they do, trying to survive and beyond that. And then our 2 other things we do out of the 5 main, and this is our core, and we're sticking with it as our cause, is our process improvement initiatives. When the phone rings, if somebody hangs up, you're sure your process isn't working that good. Disconnect, even the mechanized system of getting routed around, waiting on hold, and then back in the loop again, and not sure about who's telling you what, about who you're supposed to talk to. So if you get on hold and then someone answers, you can ask sure for another person specifically to deal with your issue. All the processes of when the customer calls in sure and knows what they need and want, and there's someone well worth keeping on your list, your business list, to the final time when they get their needs satisfied and the product or service sale is made and the profit is made by you, the corporation. So that's one of our projects. Our other project type is the Go Market project, the Go project. Go out, get the business, get it done, get it built, get it on the books, actually act as an agent for you, filling in the shoes of your short workforce where you had to lay 1 or 2 or more people off. And then for a season or a time frame, you need someone to just liquidly fill in who has some sales vet experience, some veteran, some sort of war soldier in the trenches kind of veteran sales experience that can, if you can take them through like a 2-day technical workshop, bring them up to speed on the features and benefits of your products, knowing they got technical strength to lean on internally in your organization with an engineer or a tech specialist they can come to for answers as they go out and develop the customer market. Get in there when they don't even know the questions and their answers and the answers, but just get in there and go get the business by coming back to your organization and leaning on the specialist expertise, technical stuff It takes someone to go out there and get it done. So that's the Go Market Project. We specialize in those 5 things at Connections Consulting. We are training leaders. We're putting most of our emphasis and focus on training and developing our training room, not the content. We're well beyond into that. We probably cut that off a year ago in terms of we have our content finalized. Everything is built here. It's now just developing the list, the 800 list, and getting the credit there. We're actually out doing the work, helping your people, helping your organization thrive through these times for you, about you, because it is about you. You are the customer. These 800 corporations who are on our list, and you know who you are. Whether you're somebody local, where I enjoy shopping in your store or eating in your cafe or whatever, or even a church that I may visit once in a while in that realm. I don't know that I do much of that anymore, but once in a while. And, just whoever, a machine company, Calgary downtown-based companies, or right across the globe here from Western Canada, Euro-based into North America, all that. So we are here. We are that. That is our forte, and that's what we do. And we know that, you want to get through these times as much as we do. And one way to stay sure of that is to know that you are more than a conqueror. You have to conquer. You have to know you're in this land for a reason, and you're here to stay, and you're sure. And your business is not going to go bankrupt. You're going to do what it takes to make it work. And where people let you down, where handouts and available money doesn't come when you need it, you're going to find a way to go the cause and be sure. You're going to train your young millennials up, your future, and know sure they're going to be there, and you can take it to the bank when you count on it that way. I want to give you one encouragement today from ancient scripture pros, and this goes to the book of Romans and the famous chapter 8 by Paul, the famous apostle, not the impossible, the possible apostle, Apostle Paul. And anyhow, that's a bit of humor note on that. I'll get into humor more in a second. But one of the things he said was, "For we are saved by hope, but for hope that is seen is not hope." So in other words, when you see a guy driving down the road in his tangible Mercedes-Benz, that's not hope to you. What do you have? Hope is things that's in your heart that you hope for, that you can't see, but it's in your mind, your sort of your vision of your scope ahead of what you're seeing, through and through, that you deem that it's worthy in your life to gain, and it's part of your goals, and you're not imagining it. It's a real tangible thing in your hope in your heart. But to see it in something else, that is not hope for you. You may get inspired short term when you see other people accomplishing their goals and dreams, but it's something embedded in your heart. It is in your heart. So that is hope that is seen. But hope that is seen is not hope. Okay, so hope is in you. It's in you. For what a person sees, why does he yet hope for it? So if you see it, you've already accomplished it. You have ownership of it. I picked this rock up one time on a hike. I'm not hoping to go get a good big rock anywhere someday. I have that big rock right here. This pail of cookies is here. I'm not hoping for a pail of cookies. I have one right now. I might hope for another pail of cookies. So you know that what you see, you're not actually hoping for because you have it. Well, then he says in his second part of this, in the next verse of the equation, he says, but if we hope for that we see, that we don't see, if we hope for that what we don't see, then we with patience, wait for it. So in other words, and I'm closing the book on that, if it's something you don't see, you're hoping for it, well, you have patience. You wait patiently because you know it is about to come in a said period of time. And sometimes it seems like life takes twice as long for things to happen as you always set out to cause for and do. I've been right on track in my business plan, but I planned it proportionately knowing it takes longer. I developed the content of my company for the first 2 years. Meanwhile, I delved out a bit, contacting customers and potential clients, letting them know we're in the cause here, developing our social media on a kind of a little bit of a bare level, I suppose. I thought I want to get this done in 1 year, launch in 2017, have business on the books in 2018. So as I thought that, I know from the history of my life and the experience of others and from what I know from ancient scripture prose and ancient history, applying it with wisdom nowadays, I need to examine that and I need to declare to myself and know and say it's going to take me twice as long as what I think. So I put a 2-year content development plan on the books. Then in 2019, actually Christmas 2018, as you know, you've heard me say, I got my first customer on the books. I did work for 3 of those, signing an agreement with a 4th one that I hadn't done any work for yet. And they're still somewhere in the background there. And so that was 2019. Now, that was project work in the Go Market project, the customer relationship management Go Market project realm, helping customers of mine develop their customer list here in North America. And I did that, and I handled and I managed their customer lists well. So that's done. That regard of taking care of their business, all the legalities of it, going after getting collections, receivables in, all of it, I took care of it. I was a good vested steward. Now here I am, and it's 2020. And we are right on track with the business plan because we said by March of 2019, we would have 4 customers on the books. And we did. In the business plan, we said that. So we've got even more. We've got 14 agreements. We had slightly more than that. We were up into 21, 22 agreements. We pared it back again in this COVID time. We shaved off some of our agreements that aren't working. One of them right now, well, actually, I'm not going to get into that part of it with you. I'm just going to tell you, in tough times, you got to pare back. You got to trim back. You got to look at what is a life. Is life merely just drinking and eating and enjoying it? Or can you get by sometimes on a sustenance level until you have more? And Bernie May has always lived like that his entire life. There's times of festivity where you enjoy it. 2020, and I'll back up a bit here. 2020, we're going into training and training room. We signed that deal with Hitachi. The check is on the way. And maybe they're just waiting to see how I am being taken care of Canadian as a Canadian person living here a long time, multi-year generations, and waiting to see how well Canada takes care of me in these COVID times. We're on the brink of that, I hope. I'm suggesting we are. And I've had some good meetings lately. I talked to a couple of interns in Ottawa, all that. And some other stuff. But anyways, life is more than just celebrating, even though celebrating is part of my theme of who I am, because you have to enjoy life. You can't just dwell in remorse and dwell down on unhappy things. You have to enjoy life. But sometimes the party can get too far. It can get way out of control. And I'll give you one edge here to sort of design it for you, because you can kid around a bit and have a bit of fun in enjoyable moments and laugh a bit, even in the hardest of times, right? Without dumbing down your life. But you got to take care of others and their feelings and how they're feeling. You shouldn't be, laughing it up with people when someone else really needs maybe your sympathy. And, you're not sensitive to them if you're not taking some things serious. You're kind of laughing about it. It's your demeanor then, and my hands are off. That's your bad. That's not me. So, but here's an example. This is where the edge would be. I remember this is in the younger days when partying was a little more common, and sometimes people take it too far. And I wouldn't want to go beyond this. This was quite the edge for me. One of my good friends, there was fireworks, just like last night, Halloween here in town. All the young kids out celebrating, getting all the goodies from other neighbors and having fun, dressing up in a costume of their choice, relevant to the economy we're in, not insulting anybody, I hope, and I suppose. All just good behavior, good fun. They're out getting their goodies and treats. Fireworks are going off. It's a celebration. It's quite the deal. They do that fairly often in Strathmore. And if you notice on my personal timeline, I have fireworks blowing everywhere, right? Bernie May, the celebration. Yeah, well, maybe. I hope so. It takes a bit of money, takes some cash to get to that extra where you're not just having a basic living. You're staying above depressed and discouraged. You're staying common with the theme of well and doing well and all that. So this one friend of mine, where they were partying, and these are all people I know commonly through my life, and fireworks, right? Good joy of that. Celebrate, yeah, whatever. 1st of July, something. And so one guy's sitting there visiting, and maybe had a little too much. So the draft beer scenario or whatever, right? And another guy says, "Here, hold this firework for me while I get the next one set up." And this was common to the evening. 1 or 2 or 3 times this happened over and over, and they're blowing off these fireworks. And then somebody else, who maybe shouldn't have, and I suppose had way too much to drink, said, "Hey, let's light one up," and put it in his hand. And he was talking to somebody off to the side and didn't notice they stuck a live firework in his hand. Well, can you imagine when he realized it and he panicked and it started blowing off and he's pointing it all around the campfire and all them not realizing what he was doing, and everybody's diving out of their chairs. Fireworks are shooting out like laser guns everywhere. Well, that's not a good way to be. Sometimes the party has to end and it's not common to everybody and it's no good for anybody anymore. Somebody might get hurt. I think if we're taking our party beyond that, it's way over the edge. These are good friends of mine, and that particular guy, he's up in heaven now, and I know his wife and his daughter, and they're family to me. So there. Anyhow, we're in a neighborhood now, and we are good neighborly people, and we are in a neighborhood of mercantile trade. If you want to go back to the old days ever and think about what it must have been like, you got to think about the trade market we are in right now. And I suppose it was a lot like the colonialism days when they set out in the big schooner sailing ships across the ocean to discover new lands, like when Columbus discovered America in 1492. He set sail the ocean blue back when the world was flat and they were going to go off the end of it maybe, or find where the end of it was. And then astronomers and scientists and everybody, astrologers or whoever, figured out the world was actually round and we have a galaxy out there with other stars and planets, and they revolve and rotate and all of that. Well, those were some of the first recorded journeys. I imagine there was unrecorded journeys that took place earlier, and I think with continental drift, the indigenous people actually floated over with that part of the planet as the lands separated and divided, and that's just how it ended up. But whatever, that's my theme on that. And so mercantile trade and banter, when you look back at colonialism times, countries would exchange goods with each other, and there was a plus minus profit scenario in terms of one country might end up owing another country money depending on how much goods they exchanged in the barter of it. And this is how companies may need to think. We're in those times. If I or anybody come into your restaurant and sit down to enjoy a meal, cash rich, but cash flow poor, as any entrepreneur could be at any second, you don't know. cash rich, lots of opportunities and leverage of all kinds, investments in many things, many land things around the scenario. Anybody could be doing this, cash flow poor in a given moment, whether you're a millennial who just got out of high school or the investment man that's been around for 30 or 40 years. Sometimes that card goes in the little thing and it doesn't work. Well, that's fine and dandy when it's a walk up and order thing and you haven't got yet the product. What happens if you sat down and you enjoyed the meal, knowing full well you have money in the bank or thought and expected so, you ate the meal, and then you go to pay and there's no money? Well, golly, by golly, judge that one. You're not going to make the guy stay and wash dishes like the old days because the dishwasher's doing that, right? So we're in a trade and barter scenario all of a sudden. Well, what are you going to do? If it's somebody like me you know well and not just somebody passing through, you might say, don't worry about it, Bernie, just pay me next week when your money clears the bank. And you know that money's coming in from, the client or the COVID money probably first or whatever. Okay? Because maybe my Japanese customers waiting to see how good Canada treats me so they can give me their down payment on our, I suppose, 10-year contract. I won't tell that till I officially announce it, but that may be what a businessman might say to me or a business person, right? But if it's someone that's passing through and you don't really know them, well, you're supposed to, be kind to travelers too. Well, maybe you say something like, well, can you give me some collateral? Can you pay me something next week? Are you coming back through? You might say, can you give me some collateral that I can hold until you can come back and pay me next week when you're coming back this way? Or, maybe it's some Montreal or going out to the mountains and they're on their way back, or something. You don't know what's happening. What's everybody's situation? Or maybe you say, well, hey, yeah, okay, I got this nice shirt in my car. It's an architect's, a sport kind of shirt, tennis, volleyball player look, and all you have is kind of casual or formal. And I thought, hey, I'd like one of those. Change it up a bit, or I need a new shirt. Maybe just take his asset, his good, and just say, let's call it even. That shirt's probably worth, 2 to 3 times as much as the meal I just fed you brand new. And it's still in really good shape. It's only less than a year old or whatever. I'll take it and just call it even. This is the kind of environment we are in and potentially in ongoing. And if people are going to get along in a society and dwell together and try to dwell and have some profit each to his own, we're going to have to think different again. These ain't the times that we came out of. So, one thing I wish for you is that you will unfold that message of hope with this in mind. I used to be a deer hunter, but at one time, I grew up with my dad shooting guns since I was younger than 12 legally to go hunting game, like bird game, and then 14 big game. We used to shoot sparrows, shoot pellet guns. That was not, because they were nuisances, crapping all over the workplace at the grain elevator. Well, I spent into my early 30s doing that. That was a good part of my life, good lifetime. And then at one point I gave it up and I said, I don't want to kill things anymore. I want to go climb mountains. Well, there's me. Look at that guy doing the ropes, practicing up. We were going out to do some Rogers glacial mountaineering and climb to the top of Mount Athabasca and all that in another leg of the journey. We had to learn how to use the ropes well. People can change their mindset about what's important and what they've always done and move into a new economy or a new flair of things, a new way. It just takes a moment. So my hope for you in that, and millennials, look, I went to the Hard Rock Cafe. I know you did with your dad or your mom or whoever, dad and stepmom or stepmom and dad. And I know, I've been there. Hard Rock Cafe. I know that's the kind of holiday you'd go on with your family and sit there around the cantina and have some cerveza and Corona and go to the beach. I've done all that too. My first holiday was Jamaica. I've been back there more than once. I went to my brother's wedding there. One of my brothers got married there and invited the rest of us, whoever could come. And lots of good places like that too. So it's not only been the extreme mountain climber or hunter. I went and enjoyed the relaxing life, sitting around visiting with parents and friends and all the curvosa on the beach, meeting the new neighbors from all over Toronto and Winnipeg and other parts of the world, Jamaica, I suppose, everywhere. So, this is where we're at. And I'm hoping you'll pick up some new mindsets if you haven't adopted these ancient principles that work. And there's really no standing on your own anymore, because we need these firm foundations in our life to stand on. So I'm going to go with that. And, I'm a neighborly person, so this is good neighborly news, but it is the pros of our company. And so we're putting forth the Connections Consulting because it's what we do. We sell these business consulting services, training and projects I propose. But here's a good picture of us as neighbors swimming in the pool with our good neighbors right across the boundary property where we lived in Landis, Saskatchewan. That was way back a lot of years ago. Born in Kinnersley, grew up in Landis, and that was good. So here we are today. We got to live. We're not standing in that pool anymore. We're standing in our house. I'm standing in my house, and I'm in my house, and the rest of Canada is outside of my house. And together we have to stand no matter who's in whose house, and only friends should be in each other's house. And I'm believing that I have a lot of friends at this point in time, a lot of good connections, and I've called my company that, I suppose, too, for that reason. A lot of good company connections within Connections Consulting, experts in our field, teach up experts. So keep going forth. There's family in friends, and there's friends in family. And there ain't no bad if you're with other people trying to do some good. To be alone is a bad thing. So together we go forth, I hope, and we're always going forth in a good way, because that's where we end this, when it all ends this day and forevermore, with good friends and good family within. So I'm going to have one more of these good old chocolate chip cookies of my mother's and sign off for now. And we'll be back again. This was the Conqueror issue of today. The Conqueror pros forevermore? No, for today, because we are conquerors here. Bernie May at Connections Consulting. Amen with that. wconnectionscon.ca, BM CCI Inc. Connections Consulting.